This tutorial shows you the finishing stages of colouring and how to get the logos onto your finished colouring. So if you've been doing it on Illustrator and you've copied it into Photoshop and you watched my videos, you'll see that I showed you how to colour it. And this is the finished product. And I'll show you with the layers. So this was what I copied in, and I coloured on this layer. So just using colour tool and then the paint bucket tool, I would just click in an area and colour it in like this. Very easy. And then other layers, I did it on separate layers because I wasn't sure of the colour. So that one. And if I wasn't sure of the colour, remember Control U, you can change the colour. And then I did that present on a separate layer, and you can see that it's got a filter over it. It's got a filter, pixelate, halftone over it, and that's why it looks sort of pixelated. And you can see I've done that in certain different areas as well. You don't have to do it on a separate layer. You can do it on the original layer up here as well. You just have to use your magic wand tool. Select, press shift to select all the colors. Then you go filter, pixelate, color halftone, select the pixels that you want, then go OK, and you see it appears in that area. So you don't have to do that on a separate layer. And then so you can see everything. Not everything, I don't even know what's on layer 3. It seems empty. Layer 2 and layer 6 have, well, layer 6 was coloured, and then I used the halftone filter on it, the colour halftone filter. And I made a gradient on that layer first, and also made a gradient on the background. And then I put a gradient overlay. So to get overlays or layer styles, you just select the layer that you want. So say I was going to do it on the green thingy. Double click in this blank area and layer styles come up. And that was a gradient overlay. You can see that's the gradient that I've selected, but you can select whatever gradients you want and change the opacity, which is how visible it is, or even the blending mode. So I made a pixelated layer and then put a gradient layer over the top. Cancel. If you want to make anything an actual gradient, magic wand the layer and the area that you want to have a gradient. So say I wanted that. Another way is to go into right-click gradient tool. That's the gradient that I have. Again, you can change that. And then click and drag in that area. And then you have a gradient. I don't want that to be a gradient, but just to show you. So that's how I've coloured it in. I've pretty much used gradients, paint bucket tool. I've used a few filters like the colour halftone pretty much, because I'm doing pop art, so that suits it. So don't use a filter unless it actually suits it. That's how I've coloured it in, and I like it. I think it's very colourful. I think it looks good. After that, I have opened up this document here that you have also been sent, and I've selected which Slurpee logo that I wanted. So you can click on the layer, or you can just click on the Slurpee that you want in the 7-Eleven logo, and you just click on it. You go Control C and then Control V. Just make sure it pastes. Wherever it pastes, make it go to the top. And then you can move it around. Control T if you want to make it bigger or smaller. Don't make it too big and don't make it too small. Like you might angle it or whatever. What I did with mine, so that's my 7-Eleven logo. That's my Slurpee. And you can see I put a drop shadow on it. So again, drop shadow is found down here, drop shadow, and all the style things that I chose. So I put a drop shadow on it, and I chose white because I've got a lot of colors. But if you choose a color and you're like, oh, I don't really want that color, remember, Control U, you can change the colors to suit exactly what you want. And you can do that with all of them. So if you want a pixelated effect, but you don't want it to be pink, well, Control U and change the colors. All these things can be changed. And then you just position it where you want. You can put a layer style on it, whatever. And what I did also is that I made a text layer in this font, Bungee and black, and then I colored it in. But you can't color in a text file. You actually have to rasterize it first. So this is my rasterize. To rasterize something, you right click on it and you go rasterize type, which turns it into just a picture. And you can see that all you need to do once it's a picture is to use your paint bucket tool, select the color that you want, and then click in it. And that's how I did that. And then I put a outer glow effect on it, so it's shiny. So that would be, I'm pretty happy with that. That would be finished. That would be it. I can't think of anything else. And it's good to think about also that you're only, when it's actually on the cup, you're only going to see that much at a time, because it's not flat. It's like a cup, it's round. And that, this part of the design is going to sit right next to this. So as I move my cup around, the reindeer is going to be sitting right next to Santa. So you can see that's too small. But this is just to show you, you don't actually want to do this. Well, you can do it if you're checking what it looks like, I suppose. You just got to match the angle. Right, so that, when the cup is actually assembled, that is what that side would look like. Because it's a cup design, which means the design doesn't end, it just goes round and round and round and round and round. So it's good to check that it's how you want it to be. So those presents will go round and round and round. So that's how you finish off coloring and putting your logos on your design in Photoshop.